Okay, I believe we're recording again. Got the microphone a bit closer this time, so we'll see how this one goes. This time we're going to look at the Euro USD for next week. We'll start with the monthly chart. Actually, what am I seeing on the monthly chart? The Stokes are at the bottom. They're rolling over. Now the candles paint the Stoke, so it's not necessarily a signal. However, they can be, or they can give an indication. I'm at this bottom that looks like they're wanting to roll over at support. That can be quite important. It's also at previous resistance. So the monthly Stokes are looking like they're starting to roll over at support, at previous resistance. So that could be, and it's also off a fib level, important fib level, the 50% fib level. So we'll just have to watch that to keep that into consideration as we're looking at this lot. We'll go back into the weekly charts, and this at the moment is the weekly chart. The previous one was a monthly chart, so each one of these candles is a week. This is the yearly pivot points. The red zone is a bullish take profit. The green zone down the bottom, just down below there, is your bearish take profit. It opened up the year pretty much at a sell zone, went up a bit and has been down, has found strong support in this area. As we can see, this area was previous strong resistance for quite some time. Support, tried to break through support. It's a yearly pivot point. It's an important pivot. Fib retracement level, so that's where we are. The last week's candle was indecision again. That's what they call a spinning top or something like that. Call it what you will, long-legged kookaburra if you want, but that's indecision. That doesn't know whether it's going up or down. It's almost a doji. So that's where we are off support. We will now look at so that's not really telling us much other than that. The Stokes are on their way up, rolling over again, but they could really roll over. That's a neutral zone, so it doesn't really tell us anything at all. The daily chart, so each one of these candles is now a day. These are the monthly pivots with weeklies in there too. I might get rid of those other weekly ones because they just complicate things, don't they? Make that one. Okay. Right. There we are. Okay, we're off a double bottom. Big strong candle Friday. Stokes have been heading up. What's that about? So you've got a bit of a move down with them. Stokes are heading down off there, and they found support of a double bottom, so this could possibly be just another little hiccup in the future and move up, but we'll have to wait and see there. It's a neutral area, so it doesn't really tell us anything until something happens. I don't know, is that interesting? Kinda, I guess. Or we can ignore it, not really telling me much at all. On the daily, it closed the week at the weekly pivot, but we're looking at monthlies at the moment. So we've come up pretty much a monthly target zone. Didn't quite get down there. So it showed a bit of lack of bearishness to get down that far. The Friday candle was a strong and bullish engulfing. Not quite. We didn't quite engulf that bottom bit there, but it was pretty close. This channel of mine that I drew, I don't know when, weeks ago, back here somewhere I drew that, is still working a treat. Again, in that area, I mean, it broke through but didn't hold, and she's on her way back up again. So that channel has again held well. The noodles, as my wife calls them, the EMAs, they're not really telling us much. It's a sideways market, so you can pretty much ignore them. So that's really all we got for the daily. The important thing here is a double bottom, in my view, and that big strong candle. We'll go to the 4-hourly chart now. On the 4-hour, once again, big strong move on Friday off the daily M2 up to the take profit zone, and that's as far as I went. So from the daily buy to the profit zone, bang, clean as you like. Interesting that off the double bottom. So what I'm looking at here, the Stokes are heading up. They've rolled over off this bottom here, and they're heading up. So that's something. I mean, that was pretty much a divergence on that. So you've got like that thing there, but here you've got this straight across, sort of. Oh, there it is anyway. So that's divergence, and would have given us a buy signal perhaps off of that double bottom. So what are we doing next week? Let me have a look at here my notes. Double bottom, the Stokes neutral heading up can only be bullish off the double bottom and bottom of the range. So the double bottom is also bottom of the range, where it's been since forever. Since back here, say back here, this area here, it's been there for, well, this month, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So now we're heading up. Going to look at a 1 hour chart now at daily and weekly pivots. These are the projected pivots for next week. They may change depending on the gap or not over this week, but they're pretty well set in stone pretty much, but they may move a little bit unless there's a huge gap because of a news event this weekend, and I haven't seen anything strong in the news other than what's his name? Trumpy jumping out of the nuclear deal with Russia. And is that enough to really move markets? I'm not so certain. So there might be a bit of gap here, but I'm not expecting any. So what I'll be looking for here is, I thought I drew some stuff in here on the 1 hour. No, I didn't. So what I'm looking at here for a trade is I'm looking for take this down to this zone here. I've highlighted this zone here. That's a pivot cluster. So I've got the monthly the monthly S1. I've got the weekly M2, which is a buy, and your daily M2, which is a buy. And you've also in the Fibonacci retracement level of 50 to 618, which is a buy level. It's actually the Fibonacci buy level is here. It's all of that area there. So that's what we're looking at there. Move down to this area and up. I could look at this one here, but next week's pivots, that's right smack bang in the middle of next week's buy pivot. So that's a consideration. You could go half your lot in here and half the lot down there. So if it comes to here, you're in it and up. If it comes down to here, you're in it and up, right, with your full lot. So you don't miss out in case it comes down to here. You buy from there and then from there. You could even do from there perhaps, so you don't miss out. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. So that's where I'm looking to buy in that area, and from there I'll be taking it up to, well, to be quite honest, I'll go to the top of the range. I mean, you got this range up here as well, but and that's the monthly central pivot. So you can look at that up there, which is this weekly take profit. But because it's been ranging, and also if you have a look here, that's next week's S1. So if you look at this level here, if that's been front ran that from Friday, what time was that? Just after London Open, pretty much London Open, 10 o'clock, there you go, that's London Open candle there. Front ran that S1 I'm sorry, for next week, and you're heading up to here. And like I said, also it's ranging, so that's the kind of range you get. You may get in a ranging market. So to play it safe, you could take your profit there. And of course, to put a stop loss, you just got to be below this area here, really. I mean, it's a double bottom. If it breaks down below that, only the bulls are going to be nervous. I'm sorry, the bears will be nervous off that double bottom. So it's going to take something to push that down through that area. The bulls will be strong. That's just whether we can get back here for a buy. That's what we're looking at. If we look at next week's news, we've got, well look, here's Next week's news is some Japanese, mainly European stuff there could move it. Good news on the economy for Europe would help. Hasn't been much of it around lately. The Canadian, well, that's not going to have much of an effect on this, but that's a good thing to be watching there. You've got USD news out there. You've got European news, that'll be very important. If they come out with a decision rates rising or other news with regards to the what they're doing with their buying bonds and that, we could come up with something up there, give us a signal there. We've got the ECB monetary statement press conference. What old Draghi says there will be very important. In fact, this will be likely more important than this stuff here. This speech will be quite important, and that's Thursday. So that could give us either a big lift up, or if we got to, because what else have we got here? And then we got the GDP, US GDP on Friday evening, my time, pretty much midnight-ish. If you got up here somewhere and Draghi come out to speak, we could get another drive back down later in the week perhaps. Because that's, like I said, that's on Thursday night, pretty much the last, right at USD Open, the New York Open trading. So that will be a movement there. So that's quite a possibility up there, and then we can look for the end of the week. So we can move that across to there, say, for the Friday move until Friday, and then we can look at this move back to wherever off the Draghi news, whatever he may say. So that's really all I've got to say about that. I could bring this back. I just want to show you a couple of things here, and that is that I'll just get rid of these filters. I'll move this back down to here, show everything, filter the results. And here we have the CFT stuff now. Okay, Baker Hughes oil rig count, we've got a few more rigs in play. We have oil long is less long than it has been in the past. So that's looking bearish. It's still quite long, but not by a lot. But less than it has been. The gold net positions is strongly bullish now compared to what it was previously. That's still not that big of a move for gold. It's still not that bullish, but it's a huge change. That would explain last week's move and be quite supportive of another move up this week. I could do a gold one later on perhaps. USD, they're less bullish on the dollar. The euro is more bullish on the euro, so you've got quite a bit more, an increase of bullish positions on the euro, the net bullish. But the USD is quite strongly bullish, but you are less. So, but the big one here really is the Aussie. Look how short it is. That's huge. It's historically low, and it's just a little bit less low, but it's still way low. So the Aussie, no wonder the Aussie is weak. There's so many reasons out there for the Aussie to be weak, and that's part of it. So, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. And I'll post this shortly. So, yeah.